Missed an episode of your favorite podcast? Choose from over a decade of content in our archives, not just the latest episode. All free at GCNlive.com.
This is your call to action. Get prepared, America. Economy, survival, energy, disasters. This is USAPrepares.com. Informative radio, educational radio. Interact now by emailing instructor at USAPrepares.com or text at 434-390-7953. Class, please take your seats. Now, your instructor, Vincent Finelli.
Everyone all set, cocked, locked, blissed? Dr. Shealy, are you blissed?
Yes.
Yeah. Class, we broadcast 2 hours a day, 5 days a week from Missouri. For now. And if you'd like to call us, we'll pay for the call, 866-582-9933. Telephone listen line, 605-477-3249. Dr. Shealy, I mentioned on Friday that, and I don't want the class to know if it was you or not at this point, but I mentioned that one of us was kicked out of Walmart, never to return again by management. And so, class, if you happen to call today, I'd like to ask you this question. The question is, which one of your instructors, now, we're all adults, so, you know, we weren't acting childish, okay? You see the people with green hair, blue hair, pink hair. You see them with their underwear hanging out. You see them bending over, and you see all kinds of weirdness at Walmart. Well, I can assure you that that was not the case. Okay? But one of us was kicked out of a Walmart in the United States. And who do you think it was? So we'll take your vote. Who and what do you think that person did? Okay? And so far, there have only been 3 votes. We got 3 calls, 3 votes. First call was for me. It was thought that I was kicked out for carrying a sidearm or a rifle into Walmart, open carry. The second one was Joey because, well, Joey doesn't take any guff. And the third vote was for Steve Elkins. And so those were the 3 votes. So there's a 3-way tie, but there are plenty of more votes that we'd love to hear called in. So if you'd like to, please do. And it could be your senior instructor, Dr. Norm Shealy. So it could be any one of us, and we're not going to tell you for several days. But and the other thing is, if you have, I'd love to hear, and I'm sure Dr. Shealy would also, what do you like about USA Prepares? We've been doing it, Dr. Shealy and I, for over 8 years now. So what do you like about USA Prepares? What don't you like about USA Prepares? And how can we make it better? So, you know, we like to stay on topic, but that is staying on topic. What do you like? What don't you like? How can we make it better? And who do you think got kicked out of Walmart? And I'll tell you, maybe in several days, maybe next week. Okay? And so, Dr. Shealy, that's where we are right now. Do you have anything that you'd like to share with us, Dr. Shealy?
No, it's open sesame.
Okay. So, class, back in 1973, this is not medical, but it may impact you. Back in 1973, there was an Arab oil embargo. And they decided, the Arabs decided they were going to withdraw 5% of the supply of oil to the world at a time. So the first 5% caused chaos. Absolute chaos. Dr. Shealy, do you remember that, 1973 and 1974, getting in line, odd and even license plates you could only buy gasoline on odd and even days unless you work for the government or you were a medical doctor. Other than that, or work for the government. So if you do you remember that?
I do remember it.
Mm-hmm. It was terrible. Absolutely terrible. What I'm talking about, class, is lines. There were lines around the block, And people would get up before daybreak, line up, and wait in line to get maybe $3 worth of gasoline. There was a limit. You couldn't just fill up your tank. You couldn't show up with a trunk full of gas cans, those red gas cans, and just fill them up. No, there was a limit, and you could only get it on odd or even days, depending on how your license plate ended. So if your license plate ended with an odd number or an even number, that would determine what day you could buy gasoline. And there was all kinds of scams going on. For example, if you brought your car to that local 2-bay, when I'm talking about repair bays, in a like a 1950s style gas station on the corner, you could bring your car in for a tune-up, and you could say, well, listen, I'd like to have a tune-up, but just to make sure it all works great and it runs great, would you fill up the tank? And the independent owner would fill up your tank if you bought a tune-up. So there were lots of things that were going on. But the rest of us who played by the rules, boy, it was tough. It was really tough. So you combine that, and the reason I'm saying that is, let's combine that, because right now there has been an alleged drone attack by Iran on Saudi Arabia, and it took out 5% of the world's supply of oil instantly. 5% down. So are we going to have another one of those effects like the Arab oil embargo? I don't know. But let's add to that. Almost 50,000 jobs have been stopped because General Motors is now on strike. General Motors. The last thing that the United States needs is another shock to its economic system. So here are two pretty big ones. One, General Motors. Now, I would not buy a General Motors car. A new car, absolutely not. I've got an old clunker, got an old truck, 2004, and I've got a couple 94 models, trucks, but I would not buy a new General Motors anything. But some people do. So keep in mind that this may affect parts distribution. It may affect parts availability. We're talking about oil prices have shot up 10% already, instantly. And so here we go. So keep that in mind, and you may want to, yes.
I have a recommendation. I think Trump should annihilate the bastards. I mean, this, to me,
if they did it,
a few nuclear bombs would be just perfect.
Well, Dr. Shealy, here's the situation. Do we really know who did it? That's the problem.
The time
if there's a guy in the school,
worrying. The time has come to stop worrying about whether maybe these bastards have been a problem since the early 70s.
Mm-hmm.
They have been a problem every year since the 70s.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm concerned about it. I'm concerned about the frivolous, careless use of fuel. I'm concerned about the careless use of natural resources. I'm concerned about... there's a video that I've assigned that I'd like our class to watch, and I'm very serious about this. It's called The Walking Dead. And there's a reason why I'd like it's about these zombies. Now, the problem is not the zombies. The problem is, what are people going to be like when everything stops? Everything stops. The power grid stops. Fuel stops. Food production stops. You can't get can openers. The only thing that you can do is either grow your own or scavenge for what has been already produced. They're not making anything new. And all of a sudden, we're faced with going back to the Stone Age, except for what, you can use. Ammunition becomes very, very scarce because each shot means there's less ammunition. So what happens is there are these bands of gangs and groups, and you don't know who you'd like to have be part of your team and who you need to fight with. Who needs to be killed? I mean, this is a real eye-opener. It's riveting. It's called The Walking Dead. And you'll see these zombies walking around, and they want to eat people. So take them out of the equation. But what you need to leave in the equation is how people behave when they're under stress. Like they're hungry, they're thirsty, they don't have any new clothes, they lose their shoe. All these things happen, and it's non-stop stress. Like life and death every second. Losing friends, disease, injuries, no medicine. It's all there in The Walking Dead. So please watch it. And one of the things I'm thinking about is Robert in Kansas called on Friday, and he asked me not to move. He would prefer that we stay around. And I've taken that very seriously. So in the next few days, I'll let you know, class. My concern about me staying in Missouri is simply this. We don't have a lot of friends here. Okay? People don't like us. They don't like us because we're oddballs. We're different. We don't think like the GDP. We live differently. And so because they don't like us, we don't have very many friends. And I'm not concerned about having friends. My good friends don't live right here. My good friends are people like Dr. Norman Shealy and Rick Miller and Joey and Ed in Florida, and Kyle and John Reagan. Our friends are all over, even in Australia, even in Spain, even in England, even in Guatemala, but they're not here where I live. So I was thinking there is a way that, and people want meetups. They like the idea that we could get together and face to face. I'm trying to figure out how we can do that because the government doesn't like us. They really give us hard times at our events. So the answer is we all live together. You interested in that? So if you're interested in all of us living together and getting an acre all together, everybody gets an acre, and they have to be just like us, and they have to be voted in, and we have some rules like no cell phones, and you have to have skills. And I'm serious. Dr. Shealy, I'm really serious about this. What are your thoughts? Do you catch my drift as what I'm saying? So we get a large tract of land, and if you want to buy an acre, great. If you want to put a shipping container on it, great. If you want to build a house on it, great. And we'll have a main building where we all get together. We teach defense. We teach gardening. We teach automotive shop. We teach medicine, everything you can possibly think of. We teach it, and we become independent. Now, I'm not talking about like a kooky Jim Jones arrangement, but I am talking about where we live together, work together with people we like. Do you think that there's any merit to that, Dr. Shealy, for those who want to get out of Dodge and have some skills and meet our criteria?
Well, my problem is I don't like any state in the Union. But at least the best tax state in the Union is Missouri. We moved here because it has lower taxes than all other states. Mm-hmm. And that has remained for the 35 years that I've been here. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to go to a state where they tax me more for nothing.
Correct. So there's a lot of reasons. Missouri is still the Wild West in many respects. In our particular county, we have a sheriff, but he's 20 miles away. So it's kind of nice that he has to drive so far because we don't need his help anyway. But if you're interested, I'm going to figure out how I can get the communication set up. Maybe I'll just set up another email account and you can send me information if you are interested. But you would have to, you'd be interviewed. You would be interviewed to see if we like you. If we don't like you, you're not coming.
Well, I like the idea, but not moving out of Missouri.
No. It's not moving out of Missouri. It would be in Missouri if this happens. So this would be the way that I would stay in Missouri with our family. And we could have some of our, friends who, might want to have a place here. And when things get worse, they just get over here because they already have a place. That's what we're talking about. Dr. Shealy, and I'll be right back. Dr. Norman Shealy is with us, normshealy.com, NORMSHEALY.com. Dr. Shealy, we've talked about wheat and the wheat belly and how it puts weight on us and how it destroys our immune system. What about wheat from Italy? So, for example, you can buy pasta that is manufactured in Italy and shipped over here. Would that be safe to eat, or is it the same as domestic, poisoned, toxic?
I honestly don't know. There are some statements here and there that state even Europe is contaminated, although not nearly as much. And so I don't trust any of it anywhere in the world.
Okay, so is there any wheat, if we wanted to make our own pasta? I know some of our instructors have grinding machines for grinding wheat, and they have pasta making machines. is there a wheat that we could buy and make our own to reduce the potential for the toxicity of wheat?
Again, I have not found one that I would trust enough to buy it, but there are gluten-free, which means totally wheat-free, flours, and you can make almost anything out of them. The one I like is Pamela, Pamela. I've tried it. You can make nice biscuits out of it, and it has no wheat whatsoever.
Palema?
Pamela.
Pamela. And Dr. Shealy, where do you get that?
Well, I don't get anything except off the internet, practically.
Okay, all right.
I don't go to regular stores if I can avoid it.
Yeah, I don't like going to them either, and that's another reason why we're talking about having this little village here in Missouri that we'd like to build, because I'm sick of the green hair, the blue hair, the pink hair, the flip flops, just these people who are risky. I was talking to an instructor over the weekend, and this particular instructor was telling me that they have this area where they have they have a convention, they have a queer convention, a sadomasochistic convention where people go and there are people chained up and that is the object of everybody's desires, that thing that is chained up, and that particular person gets serviced by everybody. So there might be 200 people in line, and it's like a disease fest. It's the craziest thing. I don't want to be anywhere near people like that. I wouldn't certainly go to one of their conventions, and I certainly wouldn't want them selling me food or touching anything that I touch. But yet, these people are coming out of the woodwork, and it's kind of like The Walking Dead. You know, that series I'm talking about. So I'm really concerned about that. Dr. Shealy, are you concerned about the risky behavior of more and more people that are coming out of the woodwork? Are you seeing this?
Oh, yeah, but, for instance, that's just like everything else. I refuse to allow it to bother me because I can't do anything about it. And one of the reasons that I live, out on a farm and really don't go into stores in town practically ever. I mean, I order virtually everything shipped to my home, so I don't have to go in a store to get it. On the other hand, you've raised the most interesting question of all, assuming that even if we had a community, how long do you think we could keep food on hand already stored? I mean, I know that I could live for about a year, but unless I had a garden to come back to next year, I would be hopeless. And where am I going to get the seed to come back for another garden? I mean, to grow your own seed in itself would be a full-time job.
Mm-hmm. And that's why we would need specialists, and to initially get us all together and then train everyone. So there are so many things that we all need to learn how to do, and that saving seeds is one, because it's not all that easy. So what I've done is I have not relied on electronic storage for things that I think are important. If I think it's important and I have it electronically, I will move it to paper. I will print it off, put it in binders. And we need specialists in woodworking, roofing, carpentry, gardening, preserving, canning, medicine, automotive, machining, welding, fabrication, farming, shooting. Dr. Shealy brought up an outstanding point. So you need to have firearms training, and you need to have a firearm, and it's as simple as that, class. So Beto O'Rourke is starting to gain a little bit of traction, and if he has his way, he will take, and that's his words, he will take your AR-15 and your AK-47. Now, they are perfectly legal to own in many places, but he wants mine. And if you've got one, he wants yours. And he will take it, so he says. Well, that could start an internal war within the United States. And it should. It should. So if you don't have a way of protecting yourself, rifle, pistol, shotgun, and the ammunition, way more ammunition than you think you'll ever need, you need to get it right now. Why am I saying that? Well, because Walmart has stopped selling short barreled rifle ammunition and handgun ammunition. And some reports that I've read says that Walmart is going to sell out of their guns and accessories and ammunition. And when they're done with selling protection devices like rifles, pistols, and shotguns. So if you don't have one, get one. And get the ammunition you need now. Okay? Way more than you need. Because if you watch The Walking Dead, you will see that the critical thing is when people pull that handgun out and it goes click. Because they've just run out. It's pretty serious what's happening in the United States, actually all over the world. So if you're thinking that you would like to, if we flesh this thing out and we build this little village in Missouri, and where your instructors will be teaching, and you can buy an acre in this little village that we're considering building, you're not going to be able to come here without a way of protecting yourself. We don't want you here and have you say, you know what, I ought to get a gun, since I'm here. Forget it. If you don't already have it, you're not coming. If you're not prepared and you don't have skills, you're not welcome. And people like those at the meetup who voted Dr. Shealy out of the meetup, they're not welcome here. They've already told us that they cannot be trusted. And that's when times are good. It's going to be much worse when times are bad. So if we can't trust you and you can't pass the interview process, you're not welcome. Because, and Dr. Shealy, I've said this. I know this is not medical, but here's what I've said to a number of our instructors. So we've got 4 corners of the property, for example, that we want to protect, and we've got some visitors, and we've known them for years and years and years. And we say, okay, look, it's going to take 4 guys, 4 of you. And when I say guys, it's generic. It can be guys or gals. Okay, so here's the schedule for the first 8 hours. So you 4 guys, you each go out, one to the north, one to the south, one to the east, and one to the west corners. Your job is to pay attention for 8 hours and report back via radio anything that we need to know about, any movement, any potential threats to us. We need to know about it. How many people do you know that you can absolutely trust to go out and not wander off and go get lost or fall asleep? How many people do you know that north corner is going to be well protected? And the person on the north corner or any of the corners is going to be vigilant and do his job. Do you know that for a fact? Because if someone sneaks in, the whole village could be compromised. We can't have that. Everybody's got to be at the top of the game 100% of the time. That's what we're talking about. And no pink hair, blue hair, green hair. Because those people, well, they take risks. They're risk takers. They're careless. And if you can't trust them, to behave, when the times are good, how can you possibly trust them to behave when you really need them? So, if you've got Facebook and you're there at the bar and you've got a big glass of something in your hand, we're not interested in that either. You've got to be real serious. So risky behavior is not acceptable. Dr. Shealy, do you think I've lost my mind, or does this seem reasonable?
No, you're very reasonable. And switching the subject slightly, if you heard the news at the top of the hour, or the half hour, whenever it was, they do have some kind of proof that Iran was the culprit. So I stick by my statement. They should be annihilated.
Yes.
I think 2 or 3 atom bombs on the center, on the Capitol might do it.
And back to that series of The Walking Dead, if you think about it, the only people that you really need to stop are the leaders, believe it or not. Of
course.
And President Gerald Ford, signed an agreement that leaders would not assassinate other leaders. Yeah, except for Gaddafi and some others that we decided to take out, right? Well, and I guess that was because he was saying, like, if you don't try to kill me, I won't try to kill you. I think that's what that was all about. It was self-preservation. Well, in The Walking Dead, all that had to happen was the leader of the attacking gang. If they just took him out, the other people that were under him, most of them were good people. There's just a few nasty people in the inner circle of the leader. Take them out. I'm talking like 10 people, and everything's good again. And I have a feeling it would be like that after the grid goes down. I really think that, there'll be leaders of gangs who'll say, you know what, you've got it. We didn't need to grow a garden. We're just going to take what you grew. And that's why it gets back to learning how to shoot, how to protect, and how to conserve ammo. These guys with these machine guns spraying lead, that's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. That's like a last resort. No, 1 shot, 2 kills is the way to go. Get 2 guys to line up their heads, 1 shot, get both of them. Dr. Shealy, I was reading an article, Joey sent it to me. Magnetic stimulation of the brain can help prevent age-related memory decline. Huh. That's something that you've been working on.
Well, electromagnetic, in my opinion, is better than just magnet. Mm-hmm. I've often felt that if we started using the gamma PIMP early in Alzheimer's, it would reverse it and stop it. The problem is the research to prove my theory would be rather extensive, elaborate, etc. And I'm not sure it's worth the time and energy to do it much as I would like to do it. But I'm fairly, I know it will be safe, at least. It won't harm them. And I'm quite convinced, of course. I've been thinking about maybe contacting the Sackler family of Purdue, Frederick, to see if they would be interested in helping me get gamma PIMP to replace OxyContin.
Very interesting. Well, there's an article on the naturalnews.com, and this is what Joey sent me. It says, researchers from Northwestern University in Chicago conducted a pilot study that tested the effectiveness of transcranial magnetic stimulation for the prevention of age-related memory decline. The results published in an online issue of Neurology on April 17th, 2019, suggested that memory can be enhanced temporarily using magnetic fields. The magnetic fields purportedly stimulate nerve cells in the brain, boosting brain activity in the hippocampal cortical network. And this part of the brain helps create, store, and retrieve memories. The device used in the study contains an electromagnetic coil. That's what you mentioned. So they say that it boosts brain activity and helps create, store, and retrieve memories. Now, I would think that would be good for everybody.
Of course.
Additionally, it says immediately after magnetic stimulation, what they really mean is electromagnetic stimulation, elder adults memorize as well as 25-year-olds. That's quite astounding. Does that jive with what you found out, Dr. Shealy, in your own studies?
Yep.
So, does that explain why, when we put this coil on my mom's over her head, around her neck, that all of a sudden she became so much more alert? Her hearing, from which was at some level of a deficit, perked up, and she could hear across the room as if she were a child, with really outstanding hearing. I mean, I saw it myself across the kitchen. In our kitchen, I would say She was 25 feet away, and she could hear me and Mrs. Finelli just talking, by the kitchen sink. I was quite astounded, because before that, I would say, Mom, and then she would look up. She was actively participating in a conversation 25 feet away, and that's with your pulsed electromagnetic device, Sapphire. PEMF device that you've talked about. Have you experienced that kind of a result as well, Dr. Shealy? Because I saw it.
I haven't done it in people with that degree of problem. I would like to. The problem is documenting. It it will take just scores of psychometric tests and much time to prove one particular thing. And the article that you referred to be as a preliminary possibility, but it is a proof.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I find these leading edge studies quite fascinating. Now they say that memory improvements were highly consistent for participants after receiving this magnetic or electromagnetic stimulation. And participants were able to recall memories just as well as a group of young adults whom they were compared to at the start of the study. But the gains were temporary. So after a week, the memory recall faded away. So it seems like it's in this particular study, short term. Okay. Craving sugar, Dr. Shealy. There's brain news. And craving sugar, it could be caused by a lack of sleep. Isn't that interesting?
Mm-hmm. That's not surprising to me at all. Lack of sleep causes everything.
Well, according to this article, which we can talk more about, there's a growing body of evidence that sleep not only influences mood and energy level, no kidding, it also affects chemosensory function, and the function responsible for a person's ability to taste and smell. And if you think about it, at the workplace, people sitting behind those keyboards and monitors, they like donuts and coffee, right? That's what they like. We'll be right back. Dr. Shealy's with us. Dr. Shealy, Purdue Pharma just filed for bankruptcy.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
and
family's worth $13 billion or more,
mm-hmm.
and they're going to pay at least $4.5 billion.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been thinking about approaching the family and see if they'd like to help me develop a PEP to replace narcotics.
Well, can you imagine? Can you imagine the downside is so small with your solution compared to this chemical downside that they have? They're looking at years of protracted litigation as a result of this opioid crisis that they have been part of. Yeah.
And they've admitted it. I mean, they've even admitted guilt.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well,
so
they're perfect like us.
Yeah, they're spending millions on legal costs as Purdue Pharma defends itself from lawsuits from 2,600 governments and other entities. I mean, they're surrounded. And it looks like this is their only way out. And by the way, bankruptcy is a defense. And it's just, you form a corporation, and the idea is the corporation protects the individuals from litigation, and then if all goes bad, you declare bankruptcy. So that's Purdue. And this craving sugar thing, I remember being in the corporate world and, in these multi-story bank buildings in the cities, and it was all the same. People would walk in really tired in the morning. They could hardly get there, and then they'd have a cup of coffee to rejuvenate themselves, and then they'd want donuts. And so it's coffee and donuts until lunchtime. And that would help them get through the day. And it was like that in every in every corporate environment I've ever been in. People are tired when they get to work. They're running late because they wanted to get a little bit more sleep, so they can't sleep at night. And they crave sweets. So it seems like you're absolutely right, Dr. Shealy, that there is a link between insomnia, lack of sleep, and craving sweets. And according to this article, insomnia affects the brain's reward center, and it increases cortisol production. Can you tell us what that means?
Well, the reward neurochemical is dopamine. It's the one that says, woohoo! And apparently, as with everything else, anything that increases cortisol is, in the long run, dangerous to your health and your well-being, and actually destroys, it is part of a major reaction to stress. First, more or less, adrenaline, then cortisol, and then everything else that goes with it. Now, if you have a sugar craving, the simplest way to overcome it is Gymnema sylvestra. I strongly recommend that people buy the capsules, open one and dump about a quarter of a capsule on your tongue. That way you will never, for 3 hours, be able to taste anything sweet. And then take 1 or 2 or 3 a day. And after a week or two, it markedly reduces your interest in sweets. You don't crave it. Just that simple.
I can tell you this, that it's really easy to crave sweets. But once you wean yourself off them, it's not so hard to stay off them. And
exactly.
The best thing you can, and the best, in my opinion, the best thing you can do is don't buy them. So when you're walking past the candy aisle, well, don't walk past it. Go around it. Just don't buy it. And if it's not in your house, you're not likely to eat it. And the same is with soda. Our son got a chance to spend some time with his old buddies from school. And one of his buddies lost a lot of weight. The guy was pretty heavy in school. Lost about 150 pounds. And our son said, "So how'd you do it?" Well, he stopped drinking soda in favor of water. He stopped going to the fast food toxicity distribution center, McDonald's, and its clones. So no fast food, no soda, no sugar. And now he looks great. That's all he did. Everything else, working hard, going to work, doing the things that, you would normally expect a person to do. Just not eating soda, McDonald's, hamburgers and French fries, and sugar. That's it. That's all he did. And it worked great. Can you imagine that? That's all you have to do. Dr. Shealy and I'll be right back. Any comments, Dr. Shealy, on that?
Well, it's so simple, but it does take willpower.
And the expression that I hear when I talk to people about their cars and all you have to do is this and everything will be better. And I go, I know I shouldn't drive through the mud. I know it damages I know. And I'm sure you hear it about, why don't you stop smoking? I know. Hour number 2 of USA Prepares. By the way, President Donald Trump used the word locked and loaded regarding the Middle East. And so his term is locked and loaded. For 8+ years, we've been saying cocked and locked. I believe that means similar things. And he's backpedaling a little bit instead of attacking. He's saying, well, we're prepared. And I've been telling you for years, class, that that's what I mean by cocked and locked. Ready for any situation. Tim in West Virginia, welcome. You're on with Dr. Norman Shealy. Hey, Tim.
I'm blessed.
Hey, Tim. Yeah, you are blessed.
What can we help you with?
You're on the air. You're on the air, Tim.
Actually, I wanted to call in, and it's kind of, I listened to the first hour, And it was funny that you ended the hour, or pretty much ended it, talking about the PEMF, or PIMP as we call it. And I just wanted to call and give my experience with that. About 2 years ago, year and a half ago, I wanted to quit smoking. At 56 years old, I only smoked 48 years. So Dr. Shealy offered the use of a PIMP. That's back when they were in the study stage, I think, and barely had made it to market, or might not even be sold at that point. It just had started to be sold. And he sent one to me, and I used it, and I'm pretty sure it worked. I had a hard time setting for an hour and a half. I'm a busy guy with 30 acres, and I just can't sit on my butt for an hour and a half to wear it on my head like a halo. So I kind of put it under my rear end when I was in the recliner, and I put it under my mattress and slept on it. And I'm pretty sure it helped, but I can tell you another thing that helped unequivocally. And it's what I'd like to call the Shealy effect. You still there, guys?
I'm listening.
Okay, I'm just making sure. What I'd like to call the Shealy effect in my circumstances, Dr. Shealy, is I admire and respect you so much, and you have the personality and bedside manner of the doctor who delivered me. He's long gone, Charles T. Lively in Central West Virginia. But when you sent me that PEMF, I wanted to quit, but that was a big monkey on my back for 48 years, and I tried to quit January 1st of 2017, but it just wasn't the right day. Life happened, and I got delayed a little bit. But I'm happy to say that on January 13th, 2017, I set those things down. I've never touched them or craved them since. And I give the PEMF its due, but the reason I had to quit is because I couldn't tell you or let you down and say I didn't quit. I don't lie to people, so I couldn't lie to you and tell you I did because I'm not a liar. So, buddy, the Shealy effect really worked for Tim, and I'm pleased to say, like a year and 9 months later, I've quit smoking, and I can be around people that smoke. My mother still smokes at 83. I'm not going to gripe at her. She'll go out her way, but anyway, I'm not bothered by it, and I just thank you, Dr. Shealy, for being who you are and what you are. And my biggest regret of my knowing you is you're so darn far away, I can't use your services. That bugs me.
Well, thank you so much for letting us know that. It's great to hear from you.
Sure thing, Doc.
Tim, I've got a question for you.
Sure.
You are in the state, or one of the top states for smoking. That's West Virginia.
And so, obesity.
Yeah, and the resulting diseases. And my understanding is that when someone is around people who smoke, it's difficult to not smoke. Is that how you got started? You got started very young, right?
I think I was just a very ornery kid, and I've grown up to be an ornery man. I don't play well with others, and I don't like authority, and so on and so forth. But me and a buddy down the road, Tim McCoy, I started sneaking them off my mom, her Winston's, in second grade. And I can't say that we inhaled at the time, but I know for a fact I was inhaling before I got out of grade school. So I've had a very horrible habit for very many, many years. And I also worked in the glass factories here, and I think 99.5% of glass factory workers smoked from sheer boredom. It was a very tough, monotonous job to make stemware on a big glass tank. And you just did the same thing over and over and over for a whole shift. And I think every guy, even the blowers smoked, and they were blowing on the pipe. They would put their mouth away from the pipe and take a drag and go back and look. Half that glass was probably blowed with smoke inside of it.
Now, when you say stemware, are you talking about joining the stem to the goblet per se?
Yes, sir. It was actually called the German system. It was brought to Central West Virginia, and the reasons that we had abundance of silica sand and natural gas. We had abundance of all the raw materials, and a lot of Germans moved here, but my hometown was the hotbed of crystal manufacture, which is like wine goblets and Kool-Aid pictures that you see in the Kool-Aid commercials and stuff. We manufactured that stuff here for decades, from like the 1890s or early 1900s, clear up through. The crash was around 70 or 80, again, when the Chinese stuff started coming in. It just wiped out. There's no glass factories here anymore, just small art glass shops, and I actually make art glass. I make marbles in front of a torch with propane and oxygen. But there are no large glass manufacturers here anymore. They're gone.
Tim, if someone wanted to buy your handmade art marbles, how would they find you?
Presently, I don't have any in stock because all summer I spend all my time keeping up 30 acres. But I will start making marbles again probably in October or November when the snow starts to fly. And at that time, I don't have it set up yet, but at that time, they can go to timsmarbles.com, and there will be a website with just my marbles on it. But that won't be till November probably.
Mm-hmm. Now, you've got 30 acres in West Virginia, and we had I think we had about that much in West Virginia on top of a mountain. Now, if you were to actually measure it, it was probably 3,000 acres vertically, but about 30 acres horizontally. Is your land like that? I mean, is yours like vertical cliffs too?
No, I think you were down in Monroe County, which was, it's kind of straight up and down. You're getting into the Appalachians and the Alleghenies and the mountainous areas. I'm lucky enough to live in what we would call the foothills. I'm at about 1,005 foot elevation from sea level, and we have rolling, undulating hills, nothing like Colorado or anything like that. Our West Virginia's highest point is Spruce Knob. I think it's 5,861 or 63 feet. So, no, I'm not like Monroe County. I live in the central flatlands. There's like 3 or 4 lakes within an hour's drive, one of them within 20 minutes drive. It's called Lake Country. We call it Central West Virginia Lake Country. It's a absolutely beautiful area. If you buy the amount of land I bought, I found a really nice parcel back in the early 90s when I moved back from New Jersey, and it has 5 or 6 house sites on it, buildable house sites that are beautifully level for West Virginia, which means from one end of the house site, the other might be out 6 to 12 inches on a transit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's pretty level.
Beautiful country. It's in the lowlands, actually.
Yeah. Ours was if you slipped off the front porch, you'd be rolling downhill for a long time.
I know it well. I know that type of area well. Over at Seneca Rocks, it's like that. And we used to go to Smoke Hole Caverns over there and Spruce Knob. We used to trout fish over in Petersburg and over in around Mooresville or Morristown, I think it is. But I know that area. It's over when you get beyond Elkins. Elkins is 60 miles or 50 miles east of me, and Elkins, West Virginia, is where they have the Forest Festival every year for about a century now. And once you get east of Elkins, you're climbing some mountains all the way to the top and then down the other side into Stanford, Virginia, Harrisonburg, Virginia, that area.
Tim, let's ask you about the health effects of not smoking. So now that you've quit for quite some time, what's the difference between, we can talk about the economic effects too, but how do you feel compared to when you were smoking? Is there a difference or not?
Yes, I feel wonderful. The only con, they're all pros. Everything is great about quitting. The only con for me is it was kind of like we call a pacifier in West Virginia a binky. So I got rid of that binky, drawing that filter to my mouth and started putting a little bit of food in my mouth. I did put on over 30 pounds and taking it back off by drinking a lot of water and doing as much exercise. But I did have a problem with putting on weight, I think a lot of people do. That's not an excuse. But everything else is wonderful. And also, my grandma Curtis, she passed at 96 years old several years ago. But she always whistled under her breath. And I inherited that from my grandma Curtis. And I'm a whistler. I mean, everybody thinks I'm happy all the time. I'm not. I get upset like everybody else. But I whistle a lot, and a lot of times under my breath. But I think it made my lungs healthier my entire life because I don't know if you're familiar with a sphygmometer, I think it's called, but you suck the plunger to the top. When you get pneumonia or you get an operation, they don't want fluids to settle in your lungs, and you suck that machine to the top. You familiar with that machine?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, well, I can suck that thing to the top. I can suck it to the top the whole 48 years I smoked. So I attribute that to whistling under my breath and I think I exercise my lungs subconsciously all my waking hours. It's the only way I can explain it. How can anybody have lungs that good when they smoked for 48 years? And so the only con was gaining some weight, and I know why. It was a mental thing, and I also quit in the dead of winter, which I usually put on a few pounds every winter from eating comfort foods and not exercising as much as summer. So, it's all great. Anybody that's thinking about it, do it. I hadn't enjoyed smoking for 10 or 15 years. It was definitely an addiction. The only one I enjoyed was maybe the one after a meal, which would only been 3 cigarettes a day. And I mean, it's just, if you quit, you will not believe how much better you will feel physically and mentally. It's a wonderful thing to have that monkey off your back. And my goodness, the economics of it, at a pack a day, 365 days a year, $5, you're putting $1,600 in your pocket minimum. That's not on a calculator, but it's quick math in my head. You're saving some money, and I'm a tightwad, so saving money is always a good thing.
Dr. Shealy, here's a medical question. So Tim lives 1,000 feet above sea level. Do you think that would have any positive effect in his lungs being of larger capacity than someone who lives, let's say, in Virginia Beach at sea level?
Well, I'm not sure that it would have possibly some, but again, the single greatest improvement, if you go 5 years, or 10 years after you quit smoking, your life expectancy is the same as someone who never smoked. So it does take that long to clean up the whole, all the possible defects, but that's darn good. And so he has extended his life by a minimum of 6 years.
Mm-hmm. And that's great news. Tim, I've got a question for you. I've asked callers to let us know. Who do you think got kicked out of Walmart? Do you have any feel for who might have gotten kicked out?
Well, I'll tell you, I just heard on national news, or I read the internet headlines every day. I'm a fan of Drudge because it's like crib notes for me. But does the music come on?
Yes, it is. You want to hold through the? Sure, hold through it, yeah. And let us know who your first choice, which instructor you think got kicked out, how we can make USA Prepares better, what you like and what you don't like. It's Tim in West Virginia, Dr. Norm Shealy, normshealy.com. Dr. Norm Shealy is with us, Tim in West Virginia. So, Tim, what do you like, what don't you like, how can we improve? And which one of us do you think got kicked out of Walmart?
You did, Doc Shealy. Yeah, I'm here.
Thank you.
I wanted to thank you for 6 years on my life because I know I'm going to quit for good. So thanks for helping me add 6 years back.
Hey, thank you.
My three grandsons that are 1, 4, and 5 will thank you when I'm at their graduation and maybe their weddings. To answer your questions, Vin, I don't know much of a way you can improve. Maybe, because I've listened to you for like all the time you've been on. I like through Ron Gibson because it's an hour and 8 minutes instead of 2, but we'll leave that at that and not get anybody in trouble. Maybe change instructors occasionally to not get into just a downright routine. But other than that, that's the only thing I could suggest for. Other than that, I love it. And I saw the headline, or I don't know if I read it or saw it. I don't watch much TV, but I saw where Walmart was banning us from carrying our sidearms. We're an open carry state in West Virginia without any permits. It's blowing wide open here. Recently, they changed the law. You don't even have to have the sheriff's permission. I mean, we're probably one of the best states in the nation as far as carrying guns. But as soon as I heard that, I thought, boy, Vin's in trouble. So I'm going to have to give my vote to Vin Finelli. Got kicked out because they probably started giving him crap about carrying a sidearm, I figure.
Is that the reason that you think it was me?
Yeah.
Is that it? 'Cause I'm writing reasons down. So
yeah, carrying aside, Vin packing heat, and them telling him he can't pack heat anymore. He's like, I don't care, I ain't coming anymore.
Okay. So carrying in Walmart, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think it's Vin Finelli for carrying in Walmart right after the national headline hit that they were going to stop that.
Okay, well, now don't feel you have to vote for me because I'm on the air. Okay, it could have been any one of us. It could have been Dr. Shealy too. I'm doing that through logic. I mean, it's just logical to me that Ben Finelli's not going to be too pleased about that. He's probably going to voice his opinion in a very direct manner. Okay, and here is my opinion. So, class, it actually did happen. I'm not going to tell you yet which one of us it was, and I will tell you. But if you think that knowing your instructors the way you do and the way I do, if you think that's a problem, that one of us has been banned from going to Walmart. Do you think we should try to boycott Walmart? Do you think that we should reward that store manager by saying, and by the way, I know Walmart's paying attention to what we're saying. Do you think that that we should withdraw some of our purchases from Walmart and only buy what you absolutely positively can only get there that you need? Should we do that? Should we start the boycott, or just go on business as usual and just keep going to Walmart? So should there be any repercussions for what Walmart did? Should there be? That's the question. And you can answer that yourselves. Tim, do you think we should boycott?
Well, I think that word has so many negative connotations that I like saying it this way. I like to vote with my wallet or the non-use of my wallet someplace. So that's kind of how I verbalize it.
That's exactly what I mean. Dr. Shealy, your thoughts?
I agree.
Okay. Very good. Tim, anything else? I've got another call coming in.
No, nothing else. It's always a pleasure talking to you gentlemen, and just realize I don't call as often in the summer because I'm busy, and I also listen to you on the Ron Gibson channel an awful lot. It's more efficient for me. Let's put it that way.
And Tim, thank you so much, and a big thank you to Ron Gibson. And what you can do is you can type in at your search engine YouTube, USA Prepares, Ron Gibson, and you'll find Gibson. Ron is in Ronald, and you'll find his channel, and we're there every day. Commercials are stripped out, and it's faster. Tim, thank you very much. Steve Elkins, welcome. You're on with Dr. Norm Shealy.
Hey, long-time listener, first-time caller. I was going to say that. Never have.
Steve Elkins is an instructor. I'll tell you what, Steve, why don't you hold through the commercial break, and we'll be right back with our long-time listener, first-time caller. Actually, Steve is an instructor at USA Prepares. We'll be right back. Stop by Dr. Shealy's office today. Dr. Shealy, are you going to be around today?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I wanted to stop by and buy some youth formula. I'm running low on youth formula, so I'm going to swing by if that's okay. And if you're busy, I won't interrupt, but if you're not, I'd love to get a hug. And,
well, if you come, I'll be disappointed if I don't get a hug. So you just let me know.
Okay.
Tell them to let me know I'm expecting a hug.
Okay, very good. Steve Elkins is with us. Steve?
Yes. No, a question, actually, just a comment, actually, from your last caller talking about the Walmart and their enforcement of no carry inside their store. I do believe that's open carry because I have a concealed carry permit, and I carry mine in. It's concealed. You can't see I have it, but I understand it's the open carry, and you and I discussed this. I would rather be the concealed carry than the open carry because your active shooter is going to take out the person he sees with a handgun that's open in plain sight. So I think it's smart to be the other guy, the concealed weapon carry, versus the open carry myself. And until I'm told otherwise, or unless they install some machinery to say as soon as I walk in the front doors that I have a firearm on me, I will continue to carry my concealed weapons permit and my weapon. So.
Yeah, and you're right. The first one to get taken out would be the guy with the open carry. That's absolutely correct. In Missouri, we can open carry, conceal carry. The right to bear arms shall not be questioned, according to the Missouri State Constitution, latest version of it. And I'm with you, and I prefer carrying rather than not carrying. But and you're right, it's open carry. Walmart does not want to see open carry because they seem to think it intimidates people who might be shopping there. You know, the ones with their underwear showing and the multicultural hair. But get your ammo because you don't have to buy it at Walmart. You can buy it wherever you want because it looks like Walmart, according to what I read, they are going to cease selling firearms. They're going to sell out. Now, I don't know if that article is right or not, but that's one that I saw. So if you don't have ammunition, what good is that rifle, pistol, or shotgun? Exactly. So my recommendation is get way more than you need. Steve, there was a vote for you. being banned from Walmart on Friday. Do you have a position as to who you think might have been banned from Walmart if you didn't vote for yourself?
Numerous instructors. I think there's probably a handful. And I know, I mean, I'm not going to cast my vote and say, or even throw my hand and say it's me, but I have had Walmart look at me kind of funny. They're security people. Security people know who I am. As I did a show one time talking about what we don't make and where everything we buy is coming from. And I was flipping over labels left and right. And they came down and said, "What are you doing?" And I'm saying, I'm just trying to see if we make anything anymore. And the other day I was in a liquor store, and I was noticing they're talking about this vaping stuff, all the vaping and the lung illness and the e-cigarettes, that whole controversy. And so I was in a liquor store, and I'm doing some research. The guy said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm doing some research." He goes, "On what?" I said, "You're marketing. The alcohol companies are marketing to children because look at these flavors of this alcohol: cotton candy, cake, all the different flavors you can think of. And this is definitely not for us." So I think many people are watching me. I think they're watching all the instructors because we're inquisitive. We want to know what's going on, and we do our homework and our research. And that's kind of intimidating if you walk into a store and you start pulling your notebook out and start taking notes and looking around. I even counted the number of security cameras in a Walmart, inside and outside on the roof, after all the shootings. And I wanted to say, well, wait a minute, where's the video footage from this shooting here? They don't like that. So, but that's just me. That's who I am.
Well, it's interesting you say that, and I'd like to share a quick story with you and Dr. Shealy. So during the aftermath, the day after the Joplin tornado a few years ago, I walked into a school, and the Red Cross was setting up there. They were not taking volunteers, but I had a Red Cross ID around my neck, one of those ID cards with my picture on it. And I walked in with another guy, and he said, "We have to register." I said, "Well, go ahead." So he registered, and I just stood there with my clipboard, and I just looked around like I was taking notes. Mm-hmm. And people came up to me and asked me what I wanted them to do. They knew I was in charge because I I was taking notes.
You just got
on a clipboard. Yeah. And another time, I took my students in high school. We were on an installation, a network installation, and we went to Fuddruckers, a hamburger joint, and there was a really, really, really long line. I had a van full of my students. And I asked one of my students to get me my clipboard. So I got my clipboard, and we were standing in line, and I was just writing some notes, and the manager came over and asked, they knew that I was with headquarters because I said to my students, now look, don't let anybody know that we are from headquarters. Don't tell anybody. And so the manager came over, and we got our food first. So you can look, act, and be the part, and that was the point. Oh, yeah. And I think that's yes, you are noticed when you have a clipboard or you take notes.
Yes, you do.
Steve, any comments of how we can do a better job? What you like and what you don't like?
Vincent, you do an awesome job, and I'm not just saying that. I'm not blowing sunshine. You do a fabulous job of what you do, and I'm thankful for your show. I really am. I've learned a lot, and glad to be part of it when I can. No, I think you're right on, Mark. If you can get some more guests once in a while, it's always nice to have a guest in a specialty area. Always nice to have a discipline. But overall, you're very well rounded in everything, and I appreciate your show. I appreciate your dedication.
Dr. Shealy, is there anything you like, don't like, and can we do a better job? Your thoughts, Dr. Shealy.
Well, I like what we do, obviously, or I wouldn't be here. And the only thing I would like is more callers like Steve. I like comments from the people we're talking to. Mm-hmm. So y'all call, as they say down south.
Yeah. Now, our broadcast at USA Prepares is, it's very interesting. Steve is on Republic Broadcasting, another network, and we are also on Republic Broadcasting. The owner, John Statmiller, we all know him. He takes USA Prepares from today and will play it in its entirety on Republic Broadcasting tomorrow morning from 6 o'clock a.m. through 8 o'clock a.m. on Republic Broadcasting. So they cannot call us because we're now a day late with Republic. But when I go on Republic Broadcasting, last time I was on with Steve Elkins, we filled in for John Stadmiller. Steve asked me to join him. We took 31 calls in 2 hours. That was a record. I don't think there's ever been a show that's taken 31 calls. We actually got 30 of them on the air in 2 hours on Republic Broadcasting. I think that was a record. But that's Republic. It's different here on GCN, and I don't know why. Steve, how many calls do you get on 2 hours on Sunday, typically?
Anywhere from 8 to 10, maybe 12 sometimes. Yesterday, I think last night was maybe 7, 8 callers. 2 trolls, including 2 trolls. So I have my hands full of that.
Yeah, and you know, we're all sick of the trolls. And the reason I mentioned that there will be some rules for the village, if we establish a village here in Missouri, there will be rules. There will be no trolls. And one of the rules would be that if a person is deemed a troll and a detractor, that person will forfeit his or her part of the village. They'll be kicked out and lose their investment. When I say investment, their purchase. Okay? We don't want any detractors. Either you're with us or you're against us. I mean, George Bush said that. He said it so well, succinctly. But we don't want detractors. We have enough problems. You know, just surviving. We don't need people trying to pull us off the ladder. We really don't.
What's interesting, Vincent, is that the trolls are going back to the archives, because this troll called me last night, went back to the archives, and we're talking, oh gosh, how many months? Maybe a month and a half ago I did a show where I played a clip from Paul Harvey, and it was called A Letter from God. And it was a great clip, 8-minute clip, and he came back and tried to crucify me on this, and basically saying I was anti-Semite, and that there are chosen people, and it's Israel, and he just came out of nowhere. But that show was at least a month and a half ago I played that clip, so they're going back to the archives now, trying to find something they can to hang you with, and I didn't waste much time with him. I cut him off, and that was into that, and basically had my piece, said my last words, and then went on to another call. Then another caller came in on something else. So whether they're working together or independent, they're going back through the archives trying to find something to hang you by. And I had 2 last night, which I got rid of them pretty quick.
It's interesting that you say this because my dad died before I ever went on the radio, so he never knew that I was a broadcaster. My mom knew. My mom survived my dad by a number of years, and they both lived in our farmhouse in Missouri. We moved them in with us because we wanted to take care of them. Well, my mother and father were attacked on the Internet. My mother has never been on the air with me. Anyone who met my mother would say she was very kind, very, a nice person. But the trolls have attacked my mother. And I happen to be talking with someone who listens to USA Prepares, actually a student. And this student told me that he warned the trolls that attacked my parents. And I didn't know this, but he warned them. He said, I will hunt you down and kill you. Ooh. Now, I didn't say, hey, y'all, I'm looking for somebody to take out these trolls. I never said that. But one of our students, actually, it may be even several, let this guy know, or these trolls know, and they know who they are, that they will be hunted down and killed. Because of that, they thought it was absolutely over-the-top, outrageous, and wrong to attack my family. My family has nothing to do with this broadcast. I'll talk about them every once in a while, but and you'll never hear me. You'll never hear me mention Mrs. Finelli's name. You'll never hear me mention our son's name. You'll never hear me mention our daughter's name. You won't, because I don't want them to suffer for things that I've said, right, like by these trolls. Yeah. You always hear me say Mrs. Finelli, or our son, or our sons, or our children, but never their names. But these trolls are out of control. I mean, they're nasty. They're absolutely nasty.
Well, people ask me why I keep my identity or my location kind of secret. It's because of reasons that I just don't trust some of these people are just whacked out. They're they're threatening, and I'm not going to subject my family to that also. Well, if they find me, they're going to be dealt with severely, and I don't want to go too much detail on that, but this is why I keep my identity where I live in part of Florida, where I live, very secret, because it's sad that we live in this world where we're supposed to have freedom of opinions and speech, and I recognize other people's speech, and so I may disagree, I may agree with you, but there are people out there who don't like what we're talking about, Vincent. We are threatening. We are threatening to them because they are the deceivers. The deceivers have a goal. They have a mission. And I'm disrupting that mission. You're disrupting that mission. Dr. Norm Shealy is disrupting that mission that we're on to bring the truth out to the people. And so if they can derail us any way they can, whether it's intimidation or threats, they're going to do so. So I'm not going to give an open invitation to try to find me, but I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing. I know you're going to do the same. And Dr. Norm Shealy also, all your instructors are all dedicated to the message of truth. And that's what my message is, truth. If you don't like it, well, that's tough. This is the way it is. I fill in the blanks, and they don't like that. That's intimidating. That's threatening to them.
Dr. Norman Shealy is with us, class, and if you'd like to call Dr. Norm Shealy's office and set up an appointment, he's in the Central Time Zone. Dr. Shealy, what number would you like?
417-351-5221.
417-351-5221. That's the office number. And if you want to order supplies, you can do it from that number, and they will ship them to you. You can order them on the Internet as well. Dr. Shealy, I was in the studio with you one day, and I was taking the calls and answering the phone, and I was there, and you are on KWTO, AM 560, Springfield, Missouri. It covers like 97 counties in Missouri. It's got a really far range on a clear day. And it's an old radio station with a great big antenna with a good grounding system, so it really works well. And low on the dial, AM follows the curvature of the Earth better than higher on the dial. So that's one of the considerations for why radio travels farther if it's lower on the dial. But anyway, when I was with you, I saw you had a legal notepad, I should say, and you took 21 calls in 1 hour. Now, Steve and I took 31 calls in 2 hours. You, of course, beat that record because you got 21 in 1 hour. I've never seen that before. What is the reason why you get so many calls, Dr. Shealy?
Well, because actually my calls are essentially a free medical consultation online. And people call because they have a specific medical question.
Okay. Can you give us an example of, what some of those questions are?
Oh, my heavens. Well, the most common is hypertension. What can I do to get off 5 drugs that aren't working? The second would be addiction. I'm sorry, no, the second would be anxiety. Third, depression. Fourth, pain. I mean, it's that kind of thing. Now, I only averaged 13, by the way, so that was on my high days.
Okay, because I was so impressed. I was in the studio and you said something like, "I'm Dr. Shealy. I'm on the air. You can be too." Jane from Springfield. It was like that fast. Steve, it was impressive. I mean, impressive. It was as fast as I could take the call, put them, in queue, and Dr. Shealy would answer the questions, and it was unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. Dr. Shealy, how long have you been taking calls like that, giving free medical consultation?
1988.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And how long did it take for your radio show to take off? Starting with day one. When did the call start?
Probably about 2 or 3 months.
2 or 3 months. You're on a roll taking calls. And so you're an institution in Springfield, Missouri. A lot of people know who you are. And do you get a chance to meet those people in your clinic?
Oh, yes. I mean, I would guess that 80% of our new patients come from our radio show.
Okay. Well, I got to tell you, several months ago, I pulled into your parking lot to see you, and there was a camper van there with out-of-state plates. And this guy and his wife, I think, were spending about a week with you.
That's true. Yeah, I think actually we have that happen about every couple of months. Somebody comes from out of town like that.
Mm-hmm. And it was really interesting. I was chatting with the your gal at the front office there. And I walked in. I said, "Hey, how's it going?" And this guy came out of one of your treatment rooms where you had your scalar energy. His wife was in there, and he was looking at me from the doorway. And he had a big smile on his face. He knew who I was based on my short conversation with your receptionist, if you will, because he recognized my voice. And he said that he listened to us, and that's why he was there. I thought that was quite fascinating.
Yes. Synchronicity.
Yes. Steve, any comments?
I'm just trying to scratch my head here, trying to figure out why I did not meet Dr. Shealy when I came out last time, Vincent.
Well, you will next time.
I'd like to meet him someday. I'd like to meet him in person.
Well, next time you come out to the farm.
Down south, y'all come.
Well, you will, and we'll travel to Dr. Shealy's office, or if he's available, we'll be glad. I'll be glad to do that. Dr. Shealy, I'm sure you are too, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
We could stay up till 2 in the morning and talk about the world's problems and the solutions.
Now you lost me, Steve. I'm a morning person, not a night owl.
and when you say morning person, you're talking like 4 a.m., aren't you, Dr. Shealy? Because I see
you got it. Yeah,
emails.
I see emails.
I see
3 a.m.
Yeah, well, I see them. Dr. Shealy, thank you so much for being with us. And class, normshealy.com, NORMSHEALY.com. Steve Elkins, thank you so much for being with us and calling in and being, both of you gentlemen, thank you for being instructors. Class, above all, honesty and integrity. What happens next is up to you. Got ammo? Get ammo. See you tomorrow.